Rickman is here. Hello. We're
How are
moving
you?
on from food and nutrition to some history.
Wait,
Good to
but
see ya.
Nutrition's my thing.
It is your thing.
Yeah,
I love
wellness,
it.
and you know.
I
I was eavesdropping. That was a great interview.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Ray Rickman is here from Stages of Freedom, the executive director. Okay, so Stages of Freedom received a grant from the Rhode Island Foundation to fund the support of printing for a self-guided tour booklet related to the state's African American history, events, and people. So, wanted to chat with you a
Wow.
little bit.
Okay.
I got all that in, right?
Yes, and you didn't miss a note. So we have a very rich history.
There's so much.
Yes, so Native Americans were here first,
Okay.
and then the Anglo-Saxons. But the Anglo-Saxons seem to have brought black people with them.
They brought some other people with them
Right,
along the way.
We didn't want to count them, but that's slaves. And so we're third people. Now, when people write history, the winners normally write the history. And the winners, I want to be careful about race, but the winners are generally white around here, and they write the history books, and they exclude all kinds of people. There's a famous three-volume history from the 1880s of Rhode Island, and in it, there's nobody black, and there are only 2 Italian Americans.
That's
And you just
interesting.
laugh at people who would erase people from history.
Well,
It happens
when
all
were
the
these
time.
were written in the 1800s?
No,
What'd you
no.
just say?
Oh, but you've seen this. Oh, in Texas, they're still doing it.
Oh, well, it's
But,
Texas.
you know, erasing.
I lived in
people.
Texas. It doesn't.
They're still doing
it doesn't surprise
Now, by
me.
the way, so Stages of Freedom went to the Rhode Island Foundation and asked for a grant, and it's not huge, but it's enough. It's just $2,000. We wish we had 5. I hope. I hope no
next
one over
time.
there- Well, you want them to hear that or not hear it? I don't know how to say it, but we're very grateful because what we're going to do is going to do a big accordion printing, and it's going to have 80 or 90 historic sites, African American, in probably so far 37 towns and cities.
Oh, cool.
Because people forget that black folks were in Situate and Foster and Gloucester and every place else. And a lot of rich history, of course, in Newport, and rich history in places like Little Compton. You have slavery in 36 or 7 of the 39 towns and cities. And then you have celebratory things like Sister Retta Jones, the first famous black operatic singer in America, not in Rhode Island, in America. She performed for 5 presidents of the United States.
Oh, I had that pulled up.
Oh yeah, big stuff.
Yeah.
But we're going to have more contemporary stuff. The Celebrity Club, where Duke Ellington and Lena Horne and you name it, they showed up. And what's exciting about the Celebrity Club is it was the first integrated club in Rhode Island. Now, again, you have trouble wrapping your head around this stuff, that black people, white people could not be together in the same room for entertainment. It's absurd form of racism, but normal in America.
Well, yeah, at the time. What year was
Well,
that?
this is the 50s and the 60s. And again, this is an apartheid society
Yeah.
until 1964, 65 with the passage of the Civil Rights laws. And again, we either have blinders or earplugs or something. We can't remember all this stuff. So we're going to have the really neat stuff, the fun stuff, the serious stuff, the sad events, all the way up to Jeffrey Osborne. So people will enjoy this document and they will be surprised at what happened in Cumberland.
This is cool. So who's curating it? Are you curating Stages of Freedom
Well,
curating it?
Yes.
Is it a
So-
community curating it, kind of?
Yes, no, we're trying.
Okay.
It's only so big.
Yeah.
And again, we want people to have this. We want them to pull it out, and we want them to go to these sites. In Newport, there's God's Little Acre, the slave cemetery. We want people to actually go. So that's going to limit us because it has to be enough information and colorful enough and exciting enough that somebody takes it and does it. It can't be one line because we could put in 300-400 sites.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't have. We're going to print 4,000 of these to start.
Okay.
Hope that some fabulous bank or credit union might show up and say, you know, there are some great credit unions.
There certainly are.
And would you like
You're
to-
standing in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast
Oh,
Center.
oh, oh. So, you know, would someone like to show up and sponsor additional copies? So Rob Demick is going to do the design. Has probably done 2/3 of the research. Let me say he's done 50%. The other 25% I'm doing, and then 25% is coming from people. We sent an email out to 64 historians saying, what do you know about Foster? And you get back this answer. And even though we might have known it, we didn't know it. You know how you know stuff,
Oh, yeah.
but you don't?
So it is. So it's Stages of Freedom and a community effort to
Yes.
curate
Yes.
what has happened, and
Every place.
that's cool.
And we may try to get all 39 towns and cities. Now, we don't want to force it.
Yeah.
We don't want, we've got 4 towns, we don't have anything. I'm not going to say what 4 they are. But if something comes, or even if it's not important, we may put down at the bottom, real small, in blank, whatever. Something happened on June 5th, 1954, you know. But can I tell you, and I always say this to people, especially white folks, we all need to know all our history.
Oh, yeah.
And if you did, first you would appreciate other people more, but you would see how connected we are. I told you about the Anglo-Saxons and the blacks. Guess what? Living in the same household, on the same little farm, their lives were much more knitted together than people own up to. They really were. But then you have really just kind of awful things. Black people could not work in factories owned by the white person whose house they were a maid or a butler in.
That's so interesting.
You just think about that for a second. I could name names. And there
So
you are, their butler, and your son or cousin can't work in their factory because they decided, the white ethnics, Italian and Irish and French Canadians, let's be, again, I'm here to tell the truth, that they don't want to work with blacks. And they, now, how do they know? First, did they survey them?
Because they don't.
And secondly,
Yeah.
they're your employees. You tell them who they're going to work with. Now, we again forget, most of these factories were segregated. And by segregated, I meant only French Canadians could work in that factory, and only Italians in that factory, and only Portuguese in that factory. And I just started thinking about how ridiculous that is. But that was the case right into the 1980s.
Oh, that's very recent when you're talking about history
Oh,
terms.
yeah. And then the factories collapsed.
And then
you didn't have to integrate.
And then it didn't matter. Let me ask you this. So much of Rhode Island is, and let's just go with New England. So much of New England's tourism is based on historic significance.
Yes.
So you look at Rhode Island and you say the Newport Mansions. You look at Boston and you look at the Freedom Trail. So much of that is based on this historic significance. Can we look at something like this and see a potential future for people coming in and looking at African American importance?
You're right on the mark. This is cultural tourism. And Rhode Island needs to do more and more of it. Do you know there are, every year I have 3 black tour buses come. And we're on this level, you know, not on the highest level, and they come, and I take them on a tour of historic College Hill. We could triple that. And by triple, I mean, I'm not talking about 3 buses, 4 buses. I'm talking about 34 buses, 50 people each, all staying in a hotel, all eating 2 or 3 times. And you could do that over and over. I don't think we've done enough with Portuguese history. I don't think we've done enough with the Italian history. I don't think we've done enough with the Irish history. This might be an example for others. We really could up our tourism. Now remember, we now have water fire and it brings us some overnighters. How do we expand that? You know, Newport has 4.5 million plus tourists. I don't remember the number, but it's there.
Something big.
And we have 400,000 up here. And it shouldn't be that way. And tourism needs to focus more on us. By us, how do we get 1 million of those Newport tourists to come up here?
Scoot them up here, yeah.
And
How do we
I've
do
thought
that?
this for 20 years, and that, remember, we've got 7, don't hold me to this, we have a number of tourism councils, and they're only interested in their self. And so Newport has great pull, but I think the state needs to get involved and to get Newport connected to South County, to us, probably to Woonsocket as well, and see if we can push. Now remember, half these Newport tourists get on, well, if we're not lucky, they get on 24 and go to Boston. If we're lucky, of course, they come right past us on 95.
Well, maybe they'll hop on that ferry and come on over here.
Again, we'd have to tell them the ferry's there, and we'd have to work with them. Now, I want to show you something real quick.
Yes,
We have,
okay.
we have 2 whole minutes?
Yeah, we do.
So
So that's
this
what I
is-
was going to ask you. Is this the, oh, no, this is not what I think it is.
No,
Okay.
no. So this is Notes on the Negro in Rhode Island Medicine.
Okay.
And this is Dr. Carl Gross, and in 1963, he put together a history of blacks in dentistry, medicine,
Oh, cool.
nursing.
He did this in 1963?
Yes, and what it is
Cool.
just a fabulous list. That's dentistry. And it goes all the way back to the first person. Now, dentistry starts late, 1896. But,
Can you imagine dentistry in the 1800s?
well, you wouldn't want to be there.
I don't wanna be
Wait,
there.
Black or white.
I want to.
So-
No, I don't want to be either. Can I see this?
But the most
You
fascinating...
show it to me, and then you don't let me look at it.
No, I do. The most fascinating
Oh,
thing
it's so
about
cool.
this is the sadness of it. This is Dr. Gross on the cover, and he's baby doctor, pediatrician, and he's the only one. He brings 3,000 black babies in the world, and he has no hospital privileges.
Oh,
None.
so they're all home.
So every time, well,
In
first,
1960s?
what we forget, before 1970, about a half of people were born at home. It was not a weird
I wasn't
thing.
there. Sorry.
No. So,
I wasn't born yet.
but the point I was going to make is
Okay.
when he got in trouble, he had 2 or 3 Jewish friends, doctors, that he would turn his black patients over, and they would take him to the hospital because he was not permitted to do so. And on the last page here, you'll see there was a Nigerian intern who came, and he's the first person black
Intern.
in the hospital. And he wasn't a doctor, he's an intern. There's no black doctors until the late 70s.
Wow.
And again,
Even
But-
here?
what do you mean even here?
70s?
Stop that.
I don't know. We're in the
80s.
north.
Oh. So
It's Rhode Island.
I can see Stages of Freedom has not been successful in educating folks.
Sorry.
Now, are you ready? These
Get
are
my
all the
timeline
people
down.
who went to medical school
That's cool.
and went to practice in Boston and Detroit and Baltimore
That's
because
cool.
they were not permitted to practice medicine in Rhode Island.
So wow. So they had
Okay.
to go to Boston.
Hundreds of people had to move. So this, of course, hurts a community later
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're not here.
Yeah. They're
Now,
not here, so they had to.
Until, let me be real quick.
So
'cause
all these people had to
I want you
move.
to let me move on.
Sorry.
Until about 2005, the average medical student was the son of a doctor. So you want a black doctor here so we can have some black doctors now.
That's sad.
Oh, it's very sad. And we don't know how racism works and how long its footprint is present. This booklet, pamphlet, accordion we're doing will help people understand and will help them understand about the whole state. Now, can I move to Lippet Hill? I have 1 minute?
We have 1 more minute to get to Lippet Hill, which is what I thought you were showing me, but that's different.
So Lippet,
That's really cool though.
so Lippet
That's
Hill.
neat that we have that.
Yes, he did it. We published it.
Good job. I like that. All
So
right. So the
Lip-
oral
Lip-
history of Lippet Hill.
So Lippet Hill is University Heights, and in 1970 it was demolished, and 500 black families were sent scrambling to South Providence and Mount Hope and East Providence and wherever they could squeeze into, because again, city's redlined, and you can't go to Mount Pleasant. And Thursday night, the 29th, 6 o'clock, Rochambeau Library, we are inviting people who lived there, drove through there, saw there, had a store. There are 14 businesses there. But black folks in particular, who were children or adults, are welcome to come to Rochambeau Library, 6 o'clock, Thursday the 29th.
Next Thursday.
Yes. And we hope they'll come. We're going to catch the history in the living years.
Cool. I like it.
Thank you for letting me come.
Thank
And
you.
by the
This
way,
is fascinating. I love this.
The Black History booklet's going to be free. They go to stagesofreedom.org, and send a note saying you want one in September when they're ready. We'll give you one or two if you're a teacher.
Oh, perfect. That's what I was going to say. So you're looking at this September for
Yes.
printed, and where can people pick them up? Just through Stages of Freedom? Are you
Yeah.
gonna? Do you think you'll have any set out at different
Oh, yes,
places,
we
like at
will.
libraries?
Yes.
At
Yeah, oh, you're good, you're good.
Okay, well, that's what I want. I need to get the information out to the
We'll
people.
get them out. They'll be at the Rochambeau Library.
They'll be at the
for certain.
Rochambeau Library for
But
certain.
again, if they go to stagesoffreedom.org,
Okay.
call us, we will put them in their hands.
And you're looking
A
at
gift from the Rhode Island, from the Rose Fund, the
Okay.
Herman Rose Fund at Rhode Island Foundation. So we're very
okay.
excited.
So you're looking at, for starters, about 4,000 to 5,000 copies, and then go up from there.
Well, if someone gives us some money,
Hint, hint, hint. Potentially, do you think this could go into a digital form, like online? People go.
yes, yeah. But we're going to do that secondly.
Okay. All right. I love it, Mr.
No,
Rickman.
no,
always
you're
good
wonderful.
to see you.
Wonderful letting me
I always
come.
love having you.
Well,
Always love having you. And it was sunny today, so you didn't have to walk over in the rain.
okay. Thank you, thank you.
All right, we'll see you later, Ray. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Ray Rickman with Stages of Freedom. They have a ton of valuable information online, so go check that out. And if you're interested, they have an oral history. They're trying to gather that information for Lippet Hill on Thursday. Was it 6 o'clock or 6:30, Ray?
What's that, 6 or 6:30?
6 p.m.
6 p.m. at Rochambeau Library next Thursday. So go check that